Hello, and welcome to Under 1000. My name's Thomas Flower, and each episode I'll read you a new piece of flash fiction. All of the stories are 1000 words or less. Today, I'll be reading Cake Down. Please be aware that this episode contains characters vomiting and experiencing mental health problems. If that's likely to upset you or anyone that you're listening with, then you might want to skip this one. I was baking a cake, you see, before it all happened. Cocoa powder, flour, a little sugar, but not too much. Into the oven, and then I sat to ponder for a moment. Well, now the cake started burning. I'd overfilled the tin and it came flooding out the sides as it rose, dripping all over the oven and charring into tight clump balls of disappointment at the bottom. Total disaster. I just don't know what was going on. I'd made this recipe 1,000 times before and never had this problem. But then I suppose I'd never been stupid enough before to think that a big load of batter could fit into such a tiny tin. Anyway, I was trying to deal with it all, opening the oven and then closing it quickly as the fumes poured out, worrying about the fire alarm going off and setting the whole building going with noise and confusion. So I opened all the windows, put the extractor fan on, trying to stop it from happening. I don't need cake-burning fool that wakes everyone up late at night on my track record, thank you very much. Anyway, I got it all dealt with. Smoke gone, burnt-out pieces chipped away, oven ready to go again, and cake back inside, with a good layer scraped off to prevent further spillages. So then I sat down once again, still shrouded in the scent of sweet burning disgust, and then... well, that's when it happened. The results came through. And I just... You see, the smell of chocolate was turning my stomach now. It didn't smell like an exciting treat anymore. After all the burning, it smelled like regret and frustration. And anyway, what was the point in baking a cake which you didn't want to eat because the very act of baking it was making you feel sick? And I got even more annoyed at myself for being so stupid, and I wanted to cry, and I didn't know what to do because this changed everything somehow, and I knew that my life would be different now and worse, and... So I went to sit in the bedroom, far away, where the smell of chocolate wouldn't reach me anymore. But something was still turning my stomach. Something making me sick and full of mourning and despair, and like I would never really be the same again with what I now knew. And so I thought to myself, well, of course, how could you be? How could you really live with yourself after that? Because it was so monumental and life-changing and so I knew what I had to do. I had to buy a bigger cake tin. Because really, how could I live with myself if I made a mistake like that again? And I thought that I'd solved it, but I don't think I had. Something was still making me feel queasy and wild and out of control. Because, you see, in my self-absorbed haze, I'd completely forgotten to listen out for the timer, and now it had been beeping wildly, chanting a command that I was just blithely ignoring. And so I went back to the kitchen and took the cake out of the oven, and then I remembered that just a few minutes ago I'd sat here and read that... It's funny, isn't it? You think you're so in control. You fall into your pattern and you think the world will just stay as it is so long as you do. But it doesn't. And one day you go to bake a cake and it all goes wrong even though it shouldn't have, and your world just crumbles around you. Like all the defences you'd spent all this time building up just never meant anything at all. I mean, what am I to do now? What am I to do? What am I to do? Still, the cake was ready, so I took it out and set it to cool. Cut a slice, put it on some nice china plates, took a bite while it was still warm. And it just... didn't... So then I'm running, sprinting like my life depends on it, straight to the toilet, and it's all coming up, and it's all coming out. I guess there's no way around it anymore. This is it. This is where I am, and all my body can react with is bile upon bile upon bile. So there I am, chucking my guts up, sick from the disgusting sweetness that I can't stand to taste anymore, thinking, what am I going to do now? Because without my defences, and without my happiness, and without even the simple comfort of a slice of cake, I guess I finally have to admit to myself, to say, that those results are going to change everything, and I'm powerless in the face of it, and that I am reminded once again how my life is not my own within the grand scheme of the universe, and the tricks it pulls on all of us. But then I flush, and I wipe myself down, and I put the cake in a box to save it for another day, and I think that there's still nice things left for those other days. Just because cake tastes bad now doesn't mean it won't be delicious tomorrow. And I sigh, breathe out, let it go. And I do the dishes. And I make peace. Thank you for listening to Under 1000. I'm your host, Thomas Flower. To follow the show online, look for Under 1000 Pod on Twitter or Facebook. If you'd like to support the show on Patreon, go to patreon.com/under1000pod, where you can sign up to read each month's stories in advance, as well as to have a thank you be read during these credits. The theme music is an instrumental version of In Between Days by Nick Tate and the Sharks. To hear the full song and more from the same EP, go to Nick Tate, NICTATE, and thesharks.bandcamp.com, or search for them on your favourite streaming platform. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and that you'll join me again next time for some more super short fiction.